Hey everybody, today the Arcade1up Street Fighter Deluxe arrived. Now I ordered this last week from Amazon when it went up. I didn't order it the first day because I was still waiting. I thought I was going to wait till later in November to order it. But because it was $100 off for the first 2 days, I decided I'd go ahead and pull the trigger and go ahead and get this ordered. I'm very excited to put this together. It's going to be a good place here in between the Golden Axe and Mortal Kombat. You can see the floor is kind of empty here. The Miss Pac-Man has sold already. So I will get into this later today. I've got to go somewhere and I will be back around 7:30ish. Well, after 7:30, I'll be back sometime. And my friend Judd is coming over and we're going to put this cabinet together. One reason I've really been looking forward to this is I have not had a Street Fighter cabinet from Arcade1up since the Generation 1 cabinet. Now I sold that a couple of years ago and I had it since 2019, so I had it for, I guess, two years. And there are a lot of things that I like a lot better with the Deluxe and the improvements they've made now compared to that first generation cabinet. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we get into the video. So I hope you enjoy it. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. Be sure to subscribe. All right, so before we get into the games, let's take a look here at the cabinet. Now this is one of the best looking cabinets that they've released. I love the deluxe style with no riser, which I've already gotten with Mortal Kombat 2 and Pac-Man. And if you've seen my earlier videos when I've talked about some of the other cabinets I had when I had a Street Fighter in the past, it had this same design as far as the artwork, but the cabinet design was completely different because it had that regular fin design that all the cabinets used to have. But I do like the simplistic Champion Edition artwork here on the sides. I think the marquee looks great. I put my Ryu statue from the anniversary collection back on the 360 on top of the cabinet. And if we look here, you can tell that discoloration is not really here with this plastic piece. Now I was watching the live video that Cornercade did when they were putting together this cabinet, and Travis mentioned that it was only on that pre-production cabinet that the discoloration was really there. It was never going to be produced that way, and I don't think they had time to change or fix a bunch of cabinets after that got revealed. So I'm pretty sure that's the case. So it looks really good. I'm really glad that there's not any discoloration, obviously. I think everybody is glad that it looks like it's supposed to. One more thing I would like to mention that I did not talk about in the review so far is up here where you do have your name, you also do have an avatar you can use, which is something new to me. I didn't have any other cabinets that had this before. This may have been on some of the previous Street Fighter models. But I thought it was interesting. They have a lot of different options for you based on the games that are in here. Of course, it's very Street Fighter heavy. Right now I was using a Ken avatar, but we got stuff from some of their other games as well that are on here. I just thought that was a really neat addition to this cabinet. So I do see, it looks like there's some games that don't have avatars on here. So surprisingly, there's nothing from Final Fight. But it's a really neat addition to the cabinet. I would love to see all the games represented there, but they did have several of them represented. So the on-off switch on this cabinet is a lot like the older cabs where you just flip it on, and when you do turn it into the off position, it stays in that off position. There's not a shutdown sequence when you turn this cabinet off. I was not aware of that. Both my other Deluxes have a shutdown sequence when you turn them off and you wait for that power off screen to go off. So this is different. I think it just depends on the software that's being used. I do really like the Chun-Li startup screen. I don't know if that's the same on the Shinku Hadouken and the Yoga Flame or any of the other cabinets. I don't have any other Street Fighters. The only other Street Fighter I ever had was that very first Street Fighter that was released. So I don't know what the differences are. So this is all new to me. Again, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, if the menu is the exact same, because I know that this has the same games as the Yoga Flame and Shinko Hadouken. So if the menu and everything is the same, let me know. But if it's different, you could let me know as well in the comments. I'm going to go and turn the volume off here. You can, in your settings, you can turn the background music in the menu off, and the sound effects for when you go on it, when you're moving through, because normally you can hear the punch sound effects. You can turn that off. I'll turn them off right now. So one thing I did find interesting with this menu is that it will not go back to the first game if you keep going right. You have to keep pressing back to the left to go back to the first game. I do wish it would loop around and you could keep going back. That's a very minor complaint, but I do want to point that out because I believe with other cabinets with their lists, it'll just loop back around to the first game if you keep pressing down. So we'll go into each game. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to get any online games going, but if I can, I'll play online just so you can see how the online goes. See, nobody's playing right now. So we'll go into a local game, and I'll just show off each game. Now, I did put off recording this because I did want to put in time with all the games on here first before I did this video. Now, I didn't have the original sticks in my Street Fighter very long, that Gen 1 Street Fighter. But these sticks definitely feel better than those did. Buttons are pretty normal fare, I think, for what you would expect the buttons to be like on an Arcade1up cabinet. I don't think they're any better. But we're going to have 3 Street Fighter games on here, so I'm really just going to go through these fast. You do hit the live button to leave and go back to the main menu. Now, one thing I did find interesting is if you play local games on here, that will not go towards your ranking at all on any leaderboards. Even in the games that aren't fighting games, where you're not competing against somebody, you still can't get on the leaderboard without going to an online game. All right. Yeah, I'm probably not going to find an online game right now. I have been finding online games at night, and I've been playing online. If you saw my win record, it is not very good. I think I have some wins in Super Turbo, but I don't have any wins in Hyper Fighting yet. There's a lot of good players out there.
Round 1, fight!
I don't really know that I have had this problem as much with the Mortal Kombat cabinet, but when I play the fighting games on here, and I'm really moving around a lot, this cab does shake a lot. And there are probably ways to mitigate that. I'm just not taking advantage of any of those right now. Something I definitely want to look into. And it's not that I really notice it so much while I'm playing. I mean, I'm shaking it right now on purpose. But I did have, in addition to the statue of Ryu on top of my cabinet, I had my Jada Toys Chun-Li figure posed up here. And she fell off a couple of times because of the machine moving. So just keep that in mind. It does move a little bit.
That's happened in the past with other cabinets too, but I do think, even though I'm not a fan of risers, they did give a little more structural integrity maybe to some of the cabinets. And I definitely think if they do an XL Street Fighter, I say if, when they do an XL Street Fighter, I believe it will probably not have that issue, or if it does, it won't be as pronounced. So when I am going into the online games like this, the jab button on player 1 is your A button, and the strong button is your B button. So when it says A and B here, that's what those mean. So you press B to go back. Every game does have options. You press the 2-player button to get into the settings for those games, so you can change difficulty and scan lines and things like that. Now this setting button here will bring you to your main settings for the whole game, which you can also get to if you just hit the live button. It brings that up as well. Because at first I thought when I went to this that would take me to the settings for the game I was on, because that's how some of the other cabinets are. But instead, like I said, you have to hit that second player button, which it does tell you down here. Unless there's an online game, I don't think I'm going to go into it. It's Street Fighter. It plays fine. But we just played 2 Street Fighter games on here. If anybody really wants me to play it on on camera, I will record another video just for you, and I will play some Street Fighter 2 on here, Champion Edition. All right, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. I'll just do 1 round. Now, one thing that I hate is the games that are on some of the other Street Fighter cabs, like Big Blue, but they're not on this cabinet. And this is something that I also heard Cornercade mention, or Danny mentioned, that, you know, he would like to have a download where you could download like the Dark Stalkers and the other games on here that were on the other Capcom cabs. I don't know if Arcade1up would ever do that. It would be great if they did. It would be nice to be able to have just all of the games on one cab. Because I'm not going to get a Big Blue. I only want 1 Street Fighter 2 cab. The only way I'll really have multiple Street Fighter cabinets is if they do release a Street Fighter 3 cab. Or Street Fighter 3 and Alpha cab. Because I do want those games for sure. I don't really know everything, like what I'm doing. I can navigate it okay. But if anybody has any tips or they're really into it, please share in the comments. Pro Gear. Now, I had never played Pro Gear before. I love this game. This was a lot of fun when I played through it last night. I definitely plan to keep playing it and get better at it. Like I said, I'd never played this before. You have a choice between 2 pilots. And then you have a choice between 3 gunners. It is a 2-player game. And I am a fan of shmups, so... I really hope people out there who are getting the Street Fighter cabs aren't going to sleep on the other games on there that are not Street Fighter. There's a lot of great Capcom games on these cabinets, and if you've never taken the time to play them, please do. A lot of them are really fun. Some of them I've played on collections on consoles and stuff before, but it's really nice being able to play them on a cabinet. But yeah, this was a brand new one to me, which I thought was great. Does It actually is not a very long game. Like I said, I played through it last night. I think it took about 30 minutes to play through the game. So that's just your first boss. Infinite continues, obviously, because it's like you're putting in coins. So it's a good chance to get to try out these games and be able to play them all the way through. I have played Gigawing before. Gigawing 2 is even better. Gigawing 2 is a 4-player shooter. This is 2 players. So you have 4 characters to choose from. So your A button fires, your B button does your bombs. If you hold down the A button, you'll use your shield and it will reflect any bullets back at the enemies. Now if I did want to open a room up for this game, I can pick any of these slots, select it. I guess if you want to make it password protected, so you could put a password in so somebody has to use that to get in. But again, I've never used these lobbies before. So you just click create room and anybody can join. And again, like I said, you have to be playing online in order to have any kind of rank on the boards, on the leaderboards. Now, one question I have about this game and some other games on here, this game is a 4-player game, but I don't know if it's 4 players on this cabinet. I don't know if you can play 4 players online on this cabinet or not, because it looks like a 2-player ROM because you only see push start over here. But I think it's a 4-player game. So is that possible? And if not, why don't they make it 4 players on here? For example, like you can play Rampage 3 players on the Mortal Kombat cabinet, and you can play Gauntlet with 4 players online on the Mortal Kombat cabinet. So I feel like that's a missed opportunity if they didn't make these games to where you could play them with that many people. I didn't play all the way through this game yet, but it's a beat 'em up, obviously. But I did enjoy what I did play. I played the first couple of levels. That first level is very short. Now the money you collect, you can use to upgrade your character, which I thought was cool. You can choose different abilities and things to upgrade them. But yeah, it's a pretty nice little beat 'em up game. Captain Commando, this is a 3-player game. So again, this is one where I do wonder if it's possible to play this 3 players or not, because all the lobbies look like you can only get 2 people in a lobby. But I know you can get extras in as spectators, so if it's not currently available as a 3-player game, it would be something that they can update it with in the future. That's a good question. I would like them to update these so you could play them with as many players as possible. But I don't know if they'll do that or not. far more familiar with Captain Commando from Marvel vs. Capcom. I actually have not I've played this briefly once, but I've never played all the way through this, I don't think. It is on the Capcom Beat 'em Ups collection. Now, Armored Warriors is another 3-player game. So would this be something that in the future they'll give us the option to play it 3 players? I don't know. If they can't update this to give the right number of players, then I hope that they will, on the XL, I hope they will put all of the Capcom games that they've had out on the XL. And I hope that they will allow you to play online with all the players as well. Now this is one that I've played all the way through before on the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection. I like this one a lot. Just really cool the kind of ways you can get add-ons for your robot while you're playing, and now Strider is a 1-player game, which is interesting. So like I was saying, you can only get onto these leaderboards if you play online. So you have to go to online game, even though there's no online play, in order for you to get anything on the leaderboards with Strider. Like I said, it says Strider Sports leaderboards only. So if you want to do that, if you want to get anywhere on the leaderboards, you have to play online, which is just kind of strange to me. With the Mortal Kombat, with the Pac-Man, you don't have to be in some separate online mode in order to place on the leaderboards. I mean, obviously you do have to be online with Pac-Man to place on the leaderboards, but I feel like you should be able to just go into Strider and it shouldn't even give you that option. And as long as your Wi-Fi is connected or you're connected to your Ethernet, you should be able to get onto the leaderboards. Local games shouldn't mean you just don't get your score up on the leaderboards. I just think it's kind of silly. Final fight. So King of Dragons, we have 3 settings. I do want to thank Thor KC for playing King of Dragons with me last night. We had some fun with that. I think he had to leave right before the game finished. I don't think my connection went bad for my internet, but we did play online, and playing that online was fine. I didn't see any hiccups with the connection. Most of the fights I've had online have been fine as well in Street Fighter as far as connection goes. I've only had one where the connection seemed really bad. And I'm not sure why that was. I don't think it was on my end. But it was a really bad connection. Like, he seemed to be jumping all over the screen. I couldn't really fight him well at all. I will say this game just makes me wish that Arcade1up would put the Dungeons & Dragons games out. Hopefully they'll get the license to those one day, because that would be a really fun one to have. I love the Dungeons & Dragons arcade games. But I'm a big fan of beat-em-ups. I really do love these type of games. And I know for some people there's no replayability, but for me there is, because I just enjoy playing them. Especially when I can play with people online. Now this game is also a 3-player game, I believe. I could be wrong. Maybe this is 2. I might just be thinking about Knights of the Round. But this might be a 3-player or 4-player game. I think it might be 3-player. Anyway, I hope, like I said, in the future that they will make all of these games available to play with all the players online. I do like that your characters level up in this game and that you get new weapons. Even though obviously it's going to be the same thing every time for that character, but just gives you a sense of progression as you go through. Now this is a game I'd never played before. I'd heard of it because I know that Hagar from Final Fight is in this game. My friend Judd and I played this after he helped me put this cabinet together. And anyway, we played a tag match, but we did not do well. Go ahead and play as Hagar. This is not something I'm very familiar with. I need to learn this game. Hey, I want a match. This was another game that was brand new to me. And you have 3 different styles of play based on which game it is, so it is nice that they show you all the controls up here. I'm just going to try the tennis game out. I didn't mean to slide. Ah. All right, so we have some online lobbies, so you can see what the lobbies look like here. I'm going to join this guy who's probably going to beat me. One thing that is nice is it doesn't matter what side of the control deck you're on. It'll automatically put me as second player.
Round one, fight!
Now you can see up here the connection for the game. It's not the best. I don't know if it's on my end or his, but it seems to be playing smoothly though, even though it's in the yellow. Red obviously would be the worst. The lower that number is, the better.
Round two, fight!
And obviously you're going to get the better connection anyway if you're running your Ethernet cable to the cabinet, which I believe you can do. Might be something I try to do in the future, but right now I don't have a Ethernet cable in this room. I'd have to get another modem, I guess, and get it hooked up in here. Hey, I won a match. That's something. Now I'm assuming the little round area around your profile changes based on how your performance has been and what level you reach. You probably have to win matches to get there. I haven't really won any matches. I mean, any games. Won some matches, obviously. Well, that's not true. I've won a couple of games of Super Street Fighter II Turbo, but I haven't really won any games in Street Fighter II Hyper Fighting, which seems to be what a lot of people play online from what I've noticed. Now I do try to give at least a few matches to everybody I play online, so I'll play 2 more. Good game, Blue Streak. Now, one thing I noticed that I cannot do on this cabinet that I can do on the Mortal Kombat, and the reason I compare them so much is because they're both fighting games, but in the Mortal Kombat cabinet, now I'm just looking over at my Mortal Kombat cabinet right now. It's right beside the Street Fighter. But the things that I wish you had in the Mortal Kombat Deluxe, if you hit the live button, you bring up your network settings, your account setup. Like I can't even look at my account setup on here. If I hit the live button here, I just see restore factory set. This is my menu. I can't see my account setup, which I don't know if that's one of the things that might be an issue with why this cabinet's not showing up on the app for me right now, on the Arcade1up app. So I really wish that I had some of the same options the Mortal Kombat cabinet has. Social options or setups you don't have here. You don't have a recently played list, so on the Mortal Kombat I can see all the people I recently played in games online. I can have a favorite list, so people I like to play with. I have a favorites list on the Mortal Kombat cabinet. I have a block list. If I ever wanted to block anybody, I don't have anybody blocked on the Mortal Kombat cabinet, but you can block people if you want to. So those are options that are just not available on this Capcom cabinet, and I really wish that they were available on here. And since this was released more recently, I wish they would have updated that, which is another reason I don't know if this is just the old, like the same PCB basically they used in the other cabinets or not. I know it's the same game, so if anybody could let me know, please do. But I think the options in the Mortal Kombat cabinet for your network and everything, your live options are a lot better. The only thing the Mortal Kombat needs that the Street Fighter has is the lobbies. I love this cabinet. This is such an improvement for me personally because this is the only other Street Fighter I had, like I said, was the original Street Fighter cabinet that they released for their Generation 1. So everything about this is amazing for me. Now, your mileage may vary if you had the Yoga Flame or the Shinko Hadouken, or if you had the Big Blue. You may like one of those more. I know there are some of the games that are on the Big Blue that I would have liked to have had on here, like the Darkstalkers games, for example, and Knights of the Round. So I wish they could consolidate it, like I said earlier, and put all those games together. That would be fantastic. Thank you again so much for watching today. I hope this video has helped to inform your own decision making on if you should get the Street Fighter Deluxe cabinet from Arcade1up. For me, it was a no-brainer. I didn't have a Street Fighter cabinet anymore, and the only one I had had previously was that Generation 1 cabinet, so this was a vast improvement over that. And this game right here, Giga Wing, was one of the main drawing points for me. I love it. I love the variety of games on this cabinet. Just a few more of my final thoughts. The control deck is great. It looks fantastic. It feels really good. I'm glad we moved away from the deck protector. The shape of the cabinet is wonderful. This marquee looks great. All the games on it are great. And I've had a lot of fun with it so far. I'm really hoping that in the future, when they do the XL Street Fighter that we all know is going to happen, I would like them to keep this form. I enjoy the shape of this cabinet, so that would be great if they kept this form for the XL. And again, I would just love for them to put all the Capcom games on here that they possibly can. At least combine the games that are on here and the games that are on the Big Blue. That would be ideal. So I know they can't put some of the stuff on this cabinet too, like the Versus games and things like that. But if they could put just the Capcom specific games that they're not going to have licensing issues with all on one cabinet on the XL, that would be perfect. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. If you aren't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.